Hey neighbors, welcome back to life on Swezea Street and welcome to another day in my kitchen. Excuse my voice and excuse our absence. I have been sick for the last month and I'm finally starting to feel better and in the mood for cooking, but my voice hasn't fully caught up with my energy levels, so I'm still sounding a little rough. But today I thought I would take you along. I need to prep some bread, some sandwich bread for our family. We are completely out of bread and have been for a while. I'm gonna make some bread, I'm gonna make some pizza dough, and I'm also gonna restock our sourdough waffles because we are completely out of those as well. And those are just the quickest, easiest breakfast treat for the girls in the morning. So come with me as I use my sourdough starter to make all this yummy, delicious bread, and I'll show you exactly how I do it. Let's go. My whole attitude on making things with sourdough changed once I stopped being so hard on myself about finding that perfect timing. I think that on the internet, people kind of like to gatekeep when it comes to sourdough, but I like to remember that thousands of years ago, they didn't have egg timers, they didn't have proofing machines or any of that stuff. They made bread by intuition and just years and years and years of experience. And so I have found that since I started doing that with my sourdough, not only has my baking been better, but it's just been more enjoyable because I'm not so worried about the time and the ratios and the temperature and all those things. And I still turn out with a pretty good loaf every time. So now that all the other ingredients are in there, it's time to add my sourdough starter. I made a lot of sourdough in anticipation for all the recipes I was gonna make today. It is super, super nice and bubbly, and I'm gonna go ahead and add 1.5 cups to each of these bowls. I'm making a double batch, but I'm putting them each in their own bowl because we do one pizza for the girls and one pizza for us, because usually we like to put jalapenos or something a little spicy and different on ours. The girls are more just plain cheese, so that's what we're gonna do today. Before I break into this, I just wanted to show you how beautiful and bubbly and ready to go that is. It is actually maybe a little bit past when I should have been using it, but that's okay. This is not really for the rise today, it's more for just the flavor, and it's gonna be delicious. Now that all the ingredients are in there, we're just gonna give it a nice mix until it forms a beautiful dough-like consistency. And then I'm gonna let it rest for about 30 minutes before we get the oven, while we get the oven preheated and get it ready to use. So I have those pizza doughs resting on the counter over here. We'll probably let those rest for about 30 minutes or so. In the meantime, we're gonna start making our sourdough sandwich loaf. Now here's the recipe for the sourdough sandwich loaf. I will put this down in the description box. I'm actually not sure where the original recipe came from. I did not write that down, but this is such a delicious sandwich bread, and every time I make it, it holds up so well for sandwiches and it's just so delicious. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this started right now. I also need to get the oven preheated, so I'm gonna do that first. For this recipe, the oven needs to be heated to 450, so that's what I'm doing right now. And then the first step is to warm up a little bit of milk in the microwave. You don't want it to be too hot, but just a little bit warm. And then once that's warm, you can put it right in the mixing bowl and add in a little bit of yeast. The yeast likes the warmth to help it do its rise. There is sourdough in this too, which is more for flavor and health benefits than anything. The yeast is really what gives it the rise because you don't let it sit for an extended period of time. And then of course you have to add a little bit of salt as well, even though we really try to keep our salt consumption down because of our grandpa. With his heart condition, we can't really have too much salt, so we always have to be careful there. Well, that went from warm milk to hot milk really fast, so I'm gonna have to let this cool for just a second before I mix this in with the rest of the stuff. But so far I have the sourdough starter, the commercial yeast, and the salt in there. And we have a few more ingredients to add. We have to add the canola oil, and I'm gonna leave the sugar out this time. I usually don't like to include the sugar just because who needs extra sugar in their lives? And it turns out really good without it. So I'm gonna do that today. Now for some flour. Don't spill it like I did. And then we just let this go for a few minutes until it's a nice ball, you know, just eyeball it. So I had that going for 4 to 5 minutes, and now I'm gonna separate it into 2 different balls. I have some oiled bowls, I'm gonna put them in, and we're also gonna let this one rest until about doubled in size. So this one, you wanna actually double it and make sure that it's rising, whereas the pizza dough, it's more for just flavor, so we don't really have to worry about the rise on that one. But we're gonna get this started, and then we're gonna start working on our waffles. So while all that bread is rising, I'm going to start making my sourdough waffles. This recipe is from Farmhouse on Boone, and we use it all the time. I have made some modifications to it, and I always double or triple the recipe because they freeze really, really well. So I'm gonna get started on this batter, and then we're gonna get the pizza par baking in the oven before we top it with all the good stuff. So we're gonna get started on that now. I'm not gonna go through every step I'm doing right here just because you can go to Farmhouse on Boone and watch her video on this. You can also look it up on her website. It starts out with a lot of just sourdough. It's supposed to be fresh sourdough. As you can see, mine had kind of fallen by this point. It wasn't quite bubbly active starter, but that's essentially what you want. Although I've made it with discard before, and it does turn out pretty okay too because you add baking soda, so that helps it with the rise. You put in the eggs, and you're just gonna mix it really well, add in all the good stuff. I substituted in some almond butter this time instead of the oil. I've been doing that, and it's actually been really delicious. I feel like it makes it a little bit more healthy. We've been really trying to stay away from seed oils as much as possible. Although that is kind of hard in our current society. It seems to be in everything.
Now who's gonna mix?
I always have an audience in my kitchen, and some days I enjoy it more than others. Some days you just want to be left alone to cook, but when you have as many kids as I do, you don't always get that luxury. Then, like I said, we're going to add some baking soda. We're also going to add some honey and some vanilla and cinnamon for flavor. These are really yummy, super light, crispy waffles, just exactly what you want in the morning for just like that little snack. Not too much, not too heavy to hold you down. The baking soda causes this to rise quite a bit, so you need a bigger container than what you think. Give it a good mix, and then it's ready to go in the waffle iron. After all that baking, this is all the sourdough starter that I have left, so that'll need a good feed tonight, and we'll put that guy back in the fridge for tomorrow. Now it is time to start making the waffles. And we like to add a little chocolate chips.
Mama, leave it. Mama, leave it.
Your chocolate chips?
Mama, leave it. Mama, leave it.
Yeah.
Mama, leave it.
Yeah.
Mama, leave it.
Your bread?
Yeah, leave it.
Your bread, okay. Time to check to see if these are done. Ooh, that one got a little extra crispy. Might turn down the heat just a little bit. But beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I'm just gonna ladle up some more batter and keep cranking these out. They do take a couple minutes to cook. It would be nice if we had a bigger waffle iron and we could cook them a little faster. It is kind of a slow process, but definitely worth it. Oh, that one stuck a little bit. Okay, so all the waffle stuff is still going. I am in the process of continuing to make those waffles, but they do take quite a while because we only have one waffle maker. But in the meantime, Our dough has risen, so I am going to get the bread dough transferred into loaf pans, and then I am going to roll out the pizza dough, and we're gonna par bake it for about 10 minutes before we put all our yummy toppings on. I'm going to spray these pans so I can bake our sandwich loaves. I used to have more of those little tins, and I don't know what happened to them, so now I have to use a glass dish for half the batch, but that's okay. Hopefully one day I can get a really nice sandwich loaf, one of those super square straight edge ones. That's the goal. But until then, we make do with what we have, and it's been doing just fine. They make great sandwich bread. Now I'm just gonna roll out that pizza dough, get it ready for dinner. Put a little bit of flour on the countertop so it doesn't stick, and set it down on the pan when it's ready, and we are gonna have some delicious looking pizza. So here is the pizza dough all rolled out. Gotta get it in the oven. There we go. The other one's already in there. Set the timer. 10 minutes. There we go. The pizzas are in the oven. We are finishing up the waffles. There are just a few more left, so I'm gonna get that finished, and then hopefully by the time these are done, we can start getting the toppings on the pizza. Oh yeah, look at that. We baked these pizza crusts in the oven for about 10 minutes just so that they would get started before we added all these toppings. I am using this kale tomato pesto sauce from Aldi that we get. We love this stuff so much. And the nice thing about Aldi is this stuff is pretty cheap. So I'm just spreading it on there. Joe and I like kind of weird toppings on our pizza. The girls are just cheese girlies and pepperoni when we have it. But we are going to put some kale and some eggs on ours, and it is going to be so delicious. We definitely have made this before. It's one of our go-tos. I feel like the kale makes it healthy, right? At least that's what I tell myself. Pizza's never super healthy, but at least it has green stuff on it. These are ready to go in the oven, just plain old cheese for the girls. And then we did a little kale and egg for ours. These will probably need about 15 minutes or so to bake, and then dinner is served. While that pizza cooks, I just have to finish up the last few of these waffles. I'm sprinkling some chocolate chips on here and just getting this ready to go. The pizza has just another minute, but it is time to get these bad boys in the oven. I'm going to do a quick egg wash on the top to make them nice and shiny, and then pop them on in. Decided to put a little milk on top instead of wasting another egg, and now these are going to go in the oven. Let's check on the pizza. Ooh, that cheese is looking good, but the egg needs just another minute. Okay, there we go. 25 minutes on that. We are finally down to the last waffle. Ooh, pizza's still cooking. Look at all these beautiful waffles right here. So they're gonna be delicious. Here are those finished pizzas, looking delicious. Yum. Can't wait to eat this guy. So almost everything is done. The timer just went off for the sandwich loaves. I'm gonna pull those out of the oven real quick and then show you the bounty that we made today. So I'm gonna pull this sandwich loaf out of the oven, and that is the last thing we were waiting for to bake. Of course, I lost my footage of the outro for this video, but if you enjoyed it, thank you so much for watching. I had a lot of fun showing you around my kitchen today. If you liked this video and you want to see more from us, don't forget to subscribe and give this video a nice thumbs up. Comment what your favorite thing about this video was, favorite thing I made. I'd love to hear from you. And until next time, bye.